I never believed, having been born in the immediate aftermath of the Korean War, the peninsula smoking and ash-covered, with a third of its population annihilated by United States and British and other military power. I never believed I would see the pictures in the newspapers that I have seen today. The leaders of North and South Korea stepping back and forward into each other's country across the wholly unnatural demilitarized zone. I never believed that the day would come when Korea could possibly be one. The same people, the same blood, cruelly partitioned by international power politics. People torn asunder, families torn asunder, their subsequent development as states utterly deformed by the circumstances of their birth. I never believed that Korea could be one day united again. And it's a great tribute to the leaders of North and South Korea, to the leaders of China and of Russia, and the leader of the United States of America, that these circumstances have now emerged like spring flowers from the parched earth in the sunshine at Panmunjom today. A truly miraculous rebirth of something precious, something of very great value indeed. And it turns out that Trump isn't as crazy as he looks and sounds. That's got to be acknowledged by those who imagined that the posture of him sitting astride a nuclear weapon, raising his Stetson, shouting "Yee-haw!" as he headed for the Korean Peninsula and a potential flashpoint for World War III. Behind the scenes, he was doing something sane. Pictures emerged today of Pompeo, the new, recently confirmed Secretary of State, whilst he was the head of the CIA in Pyongyang, in the North Korean leader's presidential palace, setting up what is going to be the photo call of this or any other year. Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Mercifully, they'll not be able to kiss each other's cheeks because one is very short and stout and one is very tall and stout. They will have to make do with manly handshakes unless Trump's going to actually pick him up like a teddy bear and give him a hug in that Mao suit. But it's a picture, all right. Almost as good a picture as the two blonde bombshells, Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, that every photographer in Britain will be looking for on the 13th of July. We've grown used, especially if you ever lived in Glasgow, to orange men walking on the 12th of July. Now we'll be walking to welcome the orange man to Britain, and I believe it will be a truly mammoth demonstration of opposition to the role of Donald Trump elsewhere in the world. It's not just that he's overpaid, oversexed, and over here, and he is, of course, all three, as Stormy could testify, and many others too, allegedly. It's that what he does over there affects us over here so very, very much. And this world, this febrile world, this world living in dread of the news bulletins each day as to what might emerge from them, blames Donald Trump, and I'll be one of them. But I won't be wearing a pussy hat, because my opposition to Donald Trump is not for anything that he thinks or does about America, because I take the view, it's a simple one, that the United States is a free country. It can choose its leaders freely, and they can do in their own country that which they will and stand or fall over it. My problem with Donald Trump is the danger, clear and present, that he represents to the whole world. We'll be talking also about Yemen, which I've tried to do all week because nobody else will. Nobody else has. Nobody else can, perhaps. Perhaps there's a kind of unspoken de-notice in the British media which says, look over there. Look over there at events that almost certainly did not happen in Syria. And don't look over there at the events that did happen in Yemen because we helped cause them to happen. When the bride was killed at the altar, when the little boy was left hanging, gripping on his dead father throughout the whole night, refusing to leave his dead father's body in the ruins of the wedding, which killed 55 guests and including the bride. Before she even took her vows, she died just before she could become a wife. And all these people that were slaughtered there were slaughtered by American aeroplanes firing British and American weapons, guided by a British and American command and control cell controlling the Saudi dirty war against the people of Yemen. And when you put it like that, who else but me is going to talk about it on the radio? But I want to talk, lastly, about a picture that will loom as ugly as any 21st century Labour history picture. It's a picture of 50 highly paid, grim-faced Blairite MPs marching on the courthouse where Mark Wadsworth, an anti-racist campaigner for almost 45 years, was standing trial. And of course, the black man was duly hung. It was a lynch mob of exclusively white Blairite MPs marching to get a black man metaphorically hung, expelled out of the Labour Party. Not for anti-Semitism. He didn't even face charges of anti-Semitism because he never said a word or did a thing that even a madman in Ward 5 could describe as anti-Semitic. He was not expelled for anti-Semitism. He was not even charged with anti-Semitism. But he was hung. He was expelled. And it is a mark of shame on the British Labour Party that Mark Wadsworth is no more as a Labour Party activist, which I have known him as for over 40 years. Yes, over 40 years I've known him as a Labour activist. And he was expelled to appease a lynch mob of Blairites who were hardly 5 minutes into their membership of the Labour Party. People whose names you've never heard of until I read them out in a minute, because I invited them all, every one of them, onto the show, and they all refused for one reason or another. A mark of shame it is. It is written now in the most poisoned ink into the annals of Labour movement history, the day a black man was lynched in Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party.